that we have.
Okay, time is 6:04 p.m. I'd like to call this special board meeting to order. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, under superintendent's report, first of all, are there any changes to the agenda?
We're gonna need to pull the monitoring calendar.
Number 3,
Yes,
academic services.
yes.
Right here. All right, on the superintendent's report,
I had a, can I bring something up? I had some questions on this Washington DC.
is it on the consent agenda?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir. But that was supposed to be brought up earlier. So on the superintendent's report, 2018 PBMAS report.
Board President, board members, we received about 2 weeks ago, received our annual PBIS report, and Mr. Rana had prepared a presentation for us to share with us, an update on how we did as a district based on our 2017-2018 accountability data.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, President, and President. 2018 PBMAS report. The PBMAS, what it stands for, what is the PBMAS report? It's a performance-based monitoring system. It's evaluate all our special programs. So we have a bilingual education. Their performance is being evaluated in this report. CTE program, special education, Title I, and migrant. So the PBMAS report evaluate the 5 things, like a special education, bilingual education, CTE, Title I, and migrant. The data used in the PBMAS comes from the variety of sources. Student assessment from the TEA, and the TEA have 2 sources of data. One comes from the ETS and one comes from the Pearson. ETS is hold all our star data, and the Pearson they are all true, and some EOC online. Data obtained from the area within the TEA include dropout, longitudinal graduation data from the research, and analyzed division and Texas students data, TSDS, Public Education Information Management System, PEIM, data from the statewide education system division. That's where they put the data. A district with no data available for evaluation receive a designator of no data. And usually the data is that the less than 30 students in a certain program, that they do not evaluate, they say no data. Because there are less than 30 students, there is no, they cannot analyze data. For example, if a district had no migrant students to report in a particular area's data collection, then for any migrant indicator based on the data collection, the PBMAS report will say no data, or less than 30 students in a certain area. These are the very important things to know. You are going to see in my report, first thing you are going to see the NA, which is no assigned, including not assigned, it will be a 0, 0 with no assigned, or the special analysis, 0 with 0, RI means required improvement, and so on and so forth. So SA refer to the special analysis, like SA, special analysis, which is described in the minimum size requirement, MSR, and special analysis, essay 7. RI, if you see the RI, I'm going to present the report, it will say required improvement. And then I'm going to go in more detail in a minute. And report only means they are just reporting us, and but they are telling us in a year or two, this report only will turn into your indicator. So right now it's just the report only, but does not mean you don't take action. You do take action. It's right now report only, but in a year or two, that will become a indicator. So we should not be ever deceived by just a report only. In general, district must have at least 30 students in a relevant segment for students population denominator to be evaluated and indicated using the TBMS report. That's what I was saying. In special circumstances, it can be like must have at least 5 or 10 students in the relevant segment of students population numerator to be evaluated using the standard TBMS report. So the goal of this report, that's like a very, very important. So it's like a backward thinking. The goal of this report, we should be getting 0. That's a goal. We should not be getting 1, 2, 3, 4. The higher you go, the you are being staged. 0 is our goal in this report. So 0 means you got it and your program is good to go, no action needed. As this is a performance-based analysis system. So our goal is 0. So when you see 0, I want to like, okay, so 0 is good. So how to read this report? The first, on the binder I gave you, on one hand side, you will see the report. This report, so that's where I'm going to, so if you guys can put this report also, I can go over. The first column of this report, the first column is say indicator. And under indicators, I need to like explain a little bit in detail. The first is number 1, bilingual education star, 3rd to 8th passing rate. And then you have a subject, math, reading, science, social study, and writing. The next is ESL, which is a 6th to 8th grade. And then you see the subject, math, reading, science, social study, and writing. Then you see number 3 indicators, left not served in the bilingual education or ESL. And then you see the 5 subjects. Then the number 4 indicators, left year after exit, and then you see the 5 subjects. Number 5, you see the star EOC passing rate. So number 1, 2, and 5, they are star related. And the other are also star related, but they are directly impact. Number 6 is the left annual dropout rate, 7 left graduation rate, then TELPAS, the last 2 indicators are TELPAS. So that's the page, the whole page is dedicated to just bilingual education. The first page is just the bilingual education. The second page is for the CTE and so on and so forth. So if you go first page bilingual education performance, second page is CTE. If you look on the top, is a career and technical education. Third page is ESSA, Every Student Succeed Act. Under this, we have a Title 1 and migrant. The next page will show you the special education performance. And special education has more indicators, so it's separate on 2 pages, 16 indicators. The last page shows you the summary of all the 5 section I just described. And also in this report, you could see the next column is PL performance level or level, 0 cut point. Like our goal is 0, getting the 0 in this report. Our cut score is 70 to 100. If you look at the mathematics, the cut score is 70 to 100. In the math, we made 79.4. The next column is numerators, and the next column is denominator. So denominator is the total, numerator is out of total. And then you see the 17, 16, and 16. The last column shows you a 0. So it tells you what? In math, you are at stage 0 in 3rd to 5th grade bilingual education area. So 0 is our goal. The next you see reading. The cut score is 70. I'm on the first page again, on the bilingual education, first page. Sorry about that, I should have said. I'm on first page right again, on the second column. So, in the reading, number 2, 70 is the cut score. We made 65. 52 is telling you it was the last year 52. We had very significant gain from 52 to 65, all the way at the last column. What did you see? 0 RI. Mean 0, I gave you 0 but required improvement. Why? Because our goal is what? Making 70, not 65. Make sense? In science, we have our cut score is 65. We made 69. All the way last column, you see what? 0 mean you got it. So bilingual education, 3rd to 5th grade science, you guys your program is working very well. And the social study, as we do not have anything in elementary, so therefore you see no data because there is no test in elementary 3rd to 5th grade. Last, writing under 3rd to 5th grade, which is the 4th grade. Our cut score is 70. We were 46.4. All the way down, we are what stage? 3 stage. So it means we need have work to do here. So we need to have a action plan. We need to develop action plan. We need to do some strategies. We need to look at reevaluate our bilingual education in 4th grade writing. So that's what they are telling. 0 was the goal. We are stage 3. We next go the ESL start, and then you can. This is how you read this report. So you go piece by piece. In 3rd to 8th grade, which is mathematics, our cut score was 70. We made 70.5. We are right on the edge, but we are at stage 0 because we met the performance level cut score. Reading in 6th to 8th grade, we are at stage 3. We have work to do. Science, we are in stage 2, work to do. And social study, there was a big improvement in social study. Though you see here 2, but there is I'm going to show you in a minute the analysis, and you are going to see the big difference. There is a big jump in these stages. You will see like also stage 2, stage 3, but you will see in a minute when I'm going to compare from 15, 16, 17, and 18. That's where you will see the progress. I'm going to go number 5 now, which is an EOC. And number 3, as you see, 0, 3, not analyze, special analysis type of things. Any question on bilingual education? Any question on bilingual education? The next report is CTE. And then we go through the same thing. CTE is more high school. So you will see CTE star EOC passing rate. 65 was the performance level cut score. We made what? 85.1, and we are stage 0. And then the same thing we go with science. 75 is a cut performance level cut score, which is not normal. It's usually 70, but here it's a 75. We made 89.8, which is close to 90, and we are stage 0. Social study, 70 was the performance level cut score. We made what? 94, and we are stage 0. And English language art, cut score was 60. We made barely 59.6, which is a 60. Therefore, you see at the end, the last column, 0 means you got it, but required improvement. Keep working what you are working is. Keep going the way you are going. And then we go number 2, CTE left star EOC passing rate. You see all the way, all 3 zeros, and then you see 2, which is the English language art that we need to work on. It's a left. The first was everyone. And then you see the third indicator is economically disadvantaged, star EOC passing. We have all the way 0, and 1 is required improvement. Number 4 indicators, CTE sped star. We have a 2 in mathematics, science 0 required improvement, social study we have stage 1, and English language art, that's where we need to improve stage 3. And then you see all 3 zeros, and then at the end you see 1, which is a CTE non-traditional course completion rate females, and that's what we need to work on. The female need to be more on this CTE courses. The third page is your ESSA, Every Student Succeed Act. It has 2, first Title 1, indicator 1, 2, 3, and 4, they belong to Title 1. Title 1 is at-risk students. And then number 5, 6, 7, and 8, they are migrant. And you can see at the last column, you see 0, 0, 0, and then we see the 2, which is a writing in Title 1. And then you see 0, 0, and then 1 in English language art. And then you see in 5, indicator 5, migrant, you see 2, 2. 1 is in reading, the other is in writing. And then the number 6 indicators, EOC, we have work to do in English language art. Other than that, you see a bunch of zeros, either 1 or 2. That was Every Student Succeed Act, which is ESSA and Title 1. The last but not least, special education. Special education, the last program. You see the 3rd to 8th grade mean elementary. Mathematics, you see the 0, but required improvement because it's 69.2, cut score was 70. We are not there yet, but they gave us the 0, required improvement. And then the reading, we are stage 2, science stage 1, social studies stage 2, and writing stage 3. So,
Does that mean that this is in the elementary campuses, there isn't much of social study going on, or what?
social study, there is no social study in elementary.
Test, you mean, there's no start test?
There is no start.
There is social studies, but no start
Yeah,
test.
sorry, I said it wrong. So there is no social studies start test in third. I said it wrong. Sorry about that. So there is no assessment at third, fifth grade.
Have, Ms. Foster, have they gotten away from doing social studies? in the
No, they are
elementary?
working.
No, I mean, I think we're better off than a lot of the districts, especially in the region, because a lot of the districts in the region don't even have it on their master schedule, and we actually have it occurring, and we actually assess them every 6 weeks. So we're holding the campuses accountable. It's second semester when it starts to kind of fizzle out, because then a lot of STAR preparation starts happening on the campus. But I think we're definitely like a lot better than we were, several years ago, like when I first came in.
So social studies is happening every day in elementary campuses, but they are not tested in shape of STAR test. But we do test every 6 weeks. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the to this analysis. So you can see this special report is comparing the last 4-year data, 15, 16, 17, 18, and you could see how the improvement is happening. So let me explain. So once we know these are like too many numbers, but they're all good numbers. The first column is bilingual ESL performance. The second column is passing standard. So you see 2015, 16, 17, 18. Then we go to the next column, where is a bilingual education star passing 3rd to 5th grade. And you see MA stand for math, R, E stand for reading, SC stand for science, W stand for writing. So you just see 2015, we were in stage 3 in bilingual education in 2015. 2016, we were stage 0. 2017, we are stage 0, and 2018, we are stage 0. So let's take a look reading now. 2015, we were at stage 3, 16, 3, 2017, 2, 2018, 0. So you see the progress, you see the improvement is happening in bilingual education in 3rd to 5th grade in reading. Then we go science. We started with 2015 was 3, then we went 16, 3, 17, 3, 18, 3. Though you see we are at the stage, but you see the improvement in the score. You see the improvement in the score that we have a work to do here. Sorry, I was doing the writing. Science, let me go back. Sorry. Science, we started with the 3. The 2016 we went to 0. 17 we came back 1, and 18 we are 0. Sorry about that. That was the writing I was reading. So writing is we still have a 2015 we had the problem. We still see the problem in 2018, and that's what we are working very diligently to turn this thing around in the following year for the writing. And the next column is blue, which is 6th to 8th grade. Again, you see math, reading, science, social studies. No social studies coming, because now we test social studies in 8th grade in middle school. So we go, you look at the math, 3, 2, 2, 0. Reading, we still see the problem. Science, we go 3, 2, 2, 2, and then we go social study, 3, 3, 3, and 2. So you see that we are improving. Writing is again, that's the thing we need to do. But you look at the bottom, the number, that's where it's that is no good. So we need to little bit work hard in writing. We need to work hard in writing. This gives you 3-year report, 4-year. So you can see 15, 16, 17, 18, what happened. And the second part of this side, on your left hand side, the bottom, you see the CTE. And you see a lot of blue in CTE. Except 2017, we had a 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, and 4 in ELA. Other than that, this year, 2018, we jumped back. We have a lot of zeros, except 2 in ELA, and then 2 also in CTE in math, and 1 in social study, and 3 in ELA. But you see overall its progress is happening. On the right hand side, you see the Title 1. In Title 1, you see 2015 in yellow, 2, 2, 2, 2, but now you see all the way 2018, all they are blue except the writing. And because writing is keep coming back, because at one stage writing is a issue, it's going to come back everywhere. So it's not like we are going to see writing in everywhere, because writing is an issue and we are working on diligently to fix this thing. The next page, you see the special education, and then we started like math, 2015, 3, 2, 0, 0, and then reading 3, 3, 3, and 2. So you see 2018 there was improvement in reading. Science start with a 3, 3, 2, and 1. So you see the progress is happening in special education students. Social study start with a 3, 3, 2, and 2. Though you see the number did not change, but improvement is happening in those areas. Writing, again, come back again, writing. We started with a 4. That's what exactly I was saying. We start with a 4. Now we go 3, 3, and 3. And then the next is a special education star year after graduation, so year after exit passing, and then you see the score. The last, the indicator is 3, special education EOC star passing. The last on the right hand side is a migrant. And you see the migrant, there is like we start with a 2, then we went to 0, 0, 0, and 0. In reading, we start with a 2, 2, 2, and 2. And science, we start with a 2, 0, 0, and 0. Social study, we start with a 2, 0, 0, and 0. So there is an improvement is happening every year. And writing, in migrant students, we start with a 3, no 2, 2, and 2. And then the last is star EOC. Any question? The last page, it put everything together. These are the table putting everything together. It's like a golf game. The negative is good. Okay, so you see the first math, you see what? Negative. Because in math, Dana ISD 2017, we were at 7 indicators above than 0. It was either 1, 2, 3, 4. In 2017, there were 6 indicators, they were above 0. 0 is our goal. 2018, we have 5 indicators, they are above 0. So we improve 1 indicator in the area of math. Reading, there were 17 indicators, 2017, they were above 0. Because 0 is our goal, and they were 17. Last year, they dropped to 12 indicators, they are above 0. We improved 5 indicators, that's a big improvement. 5 indicators, they were before either 1, 2, 3, now they are 0. And ELA, which is a 5 negative, total English we are 10, science we have 10. If you drop like from 16 to 6 indicator, they are above 0. So we have a negative 10, which is a negative is a good number. Social study, we drop to negative 3. District total, we have 34, we improve in 34 indicators. So it shows the total summary as a district that you improve 34. Of course, our goal is 0. There should be, we should have no any indicators above 0. We want 0, this is our goal. But we have still a lot of work to do, as I was showing the whole report. The next is a math, science, reading and social study, and special population reading summary. So everything I broke it down in tables for your easy analysis.
Basically, like the reading and writing are the areas that we need to work in, but we're making
Progress.
progress.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rana.
Okay, looking at Superintendent's Report number 2, discussion and possible action of changes in board policy, AE local and AE exhibit policies to align with Lone Star government practices.
All right, you all, so you remember the last time we came together, we talked about getting input on the student outcome goals and what it was gonna take for us to get from where we were to getting these finalized. So this report really is about discussion. We're not gonna be ready to vote on these and approve them today, but we will on the October regular board meeting. Okay, so just so you know, kind of like timeline there. The AE local that you all had in your packets, what I want you to look at right now, because updates have been made since that version, I want you all to look at this one that Mr. Donna put together, and it's in your Manila file folder. So take this one out. This is the one we're gonna be referring to, not the one in your packet. Okay, so kind of the order in which we're gonna go here is, the superintendent's gonna go through some of the data points from the Google survey. And you all have the data. We're gonna go through a series of data so you know kind of where we are as far as setting the goals. But the superintendent will start by sharing some of the data coming out of the Google survey on the student outcome goals. So this time it really is about like discussion and us just getting more clarity on some of the places where we still need to finalize the actual numbers and language of the goals.
Thank you, Mr. Anna. So I don't know if you recall, board members, we sent a survey. We developed a survey, it was a Google survey, and we put it on our website. We also sent it via email to our staff, and we have 343 responses. And this is what Google can do for you. That's why I like Google a lot. It does a lot of analysis, a lot of segregate the data for you. Really neat. So anyway, out of the 343 responses we received, 59% of them were teachers, about 104, 31% of them were staff members, and then there's a variety of community members. There are about six people from our community members we did because it was on our website, so anybody can do the survey. As you can see, there's we put like choices, so if you, even students, but I don't think we got a lot of students doing this. But we did put it there in case some of them would like to participate. So again, 343 responses, about 60% or so were teachers, and about 31% were staff members. The first thing we ask is about student outcomes. And if you go and look at your the AE local, you will see the 3 goals in the second page, G1, G2, and G3. And so the first goal we asked was the majority of students in grade K2 should be reading in grade level. And we have about 273 responses who said strongly agree, and then about 34 who said slightly agree. So if you aggregate, I like to aggregate that because it's pretty much the aggregate, right? So if you add them together, you're looking at over 300 of our folks who took the survey agreed with this goal, so they like the goal. It's about 90%, close to 90%. If you go to the second goal, G2, the majority of students in grade 3 through high school should meet grade level and assessment aligned to the state accountability. And we see that a high percentage of strongly agree, 248 of them, and then about 51, so almost 300 agree, either slightly agree or strongly agree with that goal. And then the final goal, G3, was the majority of graduates should meet college, career, military readiness standards, and we have 269 said strongly agree, and then about 39 of them say slightly agree. So it's again, it's a big percentage. It's almost 90% of those folks who took the survey agree. Then we ask a question about to achieve these student outcomes, the superintendent cannot allow the following to occur. And so we put these are superintendent constraints. So these are the things that I won't be able to do. And the first one was, sorry about that. The superintendent shall not allow any campus to have a principal with fewer than 2 years if a demonstrator is successful, administrative assistant principal or curriculum specialist experience. So when we did that, we have about 219 said that strongly agree, and about 59 folks said slightly agree. So again, almost 300, 90% or so said that. Agree, or slightly agree or strongly agree. The second one was superintendent should not approve changes in academic programs arbitrarily or without annual evaluation. And so this is when we start a program for a year and said, no, it's not working, shut it down, let's do something different. So that, that's one of the constraints that you're not gonna allow me to do that. Unless DEA says, we don't want you to use this program anymore, or something that beyond our control, I guess, right? And again, 260 folks said strongly agree. Another 48% said slightly agree. So we have, again, over 300, almost 90% or so said they agree with that. Then the next one was to assist in the achievement of student outcome. The board cannot allow the following to occur. And so these are kind of self-constrained. You put in this self-constraint on you. So the first one was, the board will not allow the cost of staff time spent on governance to increase. So this is pretty much when, when folks prepare for the board meeting, they spend a lot of time getting data together, putting things together for the board, right? So 140 folks said no, or strongly agree, I'm sorry, and then 70 said slightly agree. So we see in here a little different, almost 200 people saying they agree. Moving on to the board will not modify AE local policy not more than once in the 24-month period. So we have 149 strongly agree and 88 slightly agree. So again, we have over 200. It's about 60% or so are agreeing with this. And then the last one, the majority of the time spent during regularly scheduled board meetings should focus on what matters most, more in student outcome. And you can see here 230 agree, and then about 61 also slightly agree. So close to 300 or about 90% or so agree. And then we give the opportunity for our folks who took the survey to leave some comments. So we had all these comments also captured here, and we have a copy in your folder with all those comments. Okay. So that was the first thing, an attempt for us to gain input or feedback from our staff, our teachers, and we did, I think, accomplish that. I know we were hoping for more than 343 responses, but I think still, statistically, it's a good sample. That's as far as the Google survey. I don't know if you want to go through, can go over maybe through some of the documentation we have.
Yes, so okay. So I want you all just as a reminder, so first page on the AE local, we have our vision and our mission, because that's our primary role as a board, is to consider our progress towards our vision, right? And then on the second page is where where you see the student outcome goals. So everybody go to page 2, second page in your AE local. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna look at some of the specific data that we have around, that informs each of these goals. And then how Mr. Rana and Superintendent Aziz are thinking about the goal progress measures. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna look at, so we're on goal number 1, percentage of kindergarten through grade 2 students reading on or above grade level, as measured by iStation, will increase from 72% to 90% by the year 2023. That's the first one. So take a look at what your form, does everybody have this report?
Yes, it's in that packet.
Yeah, everybody find this one. I know we have multiple pieces of data, so that's why I'm gonna make sure we're all like clear on where we're going. Yeah. Okay, so this is gonna be the data. Superintendent.
Yep. All right, so thank you, Mr. Renigan. So for the first goal, we thought what we did is, we read some data on Mr. Rana, Mr. Ariano. We looked at the students who are reading on grade level, and we have a variety of students. Obviously, we have some who are mainstream English, we have some who early exit bilingual, and we have biliteracy, which is something that we started a year ago right here in our district. So we looked at that. So we tried to look at how they are doing based on iStation. And so this is what we stand. This is what we stand overall. We are 64% of our students are K through second grade, what we consider on or above grade level. So this is our current data, is 64% total. And then we broke it down here by grade level, so you can see this is for second grade, this is for first grade, and this is for kinder. And again, this is based on end of the year data. Like last year, at the end of the year, when they took the iStation, that's what we were as of the end of 2017-2018 school year. Okay. So that's the first piece of data that we would consider as we start looking at goal number 1.
So we're starting it. I mean, we set the goal at from 72 to 90%.
Yeah, we're gonna need to revise the 64% now that we have more,
Yes.
like our recent report.
When we ran the data initially, I think we ran it together, and so now we kind of looked at it and segregated the data, English, Spanish. So and then we did, and again, Mr. Ayano, Mr. Rana, we looked at that, and so really a better indicator is the 64.
So we use that as
Yes.
Baseline.
our starting
Yes.
That's right.
baseline.
Okay, so then go to page 4 in the AE local, because now we're gonna look at the goal progress measures. So go to page 4 and then find G1. Can you put that up there too? Do you have it
G1? Yes, I can.
on the 4th page? So,
G1,
okay,
right?
yeah, I think everybody's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
okay.
first one.
So then what you all see here is goal 1, the annual targets. So school year 18-19, 76% to then 80, 84, 86, and 90. Those are the annual targets. Underneath that, what we did was separate out kindergarten, first grade, second grade. So that's goal progress measure 1, 2, and 3. Kindergarten going from 81% to 90% by 2023. So that kindergarten 1 is actually gonna be 72%, right? Are we following along, right? The kindergarten 1's gonna be 72% to 90% by 2023. So we'll do some revision on the annual targets. The first graders will be 55% to 90% by 2023. And then the second graders will be 65% to 90% by 2023. Okay, and then we can see the annual targets there.
We will take the difference of 2, divide by 5 year, and then we will see the progression in the beginning. We can improve more, and then at the end we will progressively add the number.
And we have to be, not cautious, but I guess we have to keep in mind something.
Realistic.
No. But because remember, like this year we started a full day pre-K program, right? So those students that started this year, so we expect to see growth with the pre-K, a bigger growth this year versus last year. That is the expectation. But when it comes to, let's say, kinder or first grade, these kids, the pre-Kers, are coming when they're going next year. They will be as kindergartners. I'm sorry, they're in pre-K this year, full day. They will move to kinder next year. So we expect even a bigger. What I'm trying to say, we expect hopefully a bigger jump when they go and become kindergartners. Simply because now they have the double amount of time in our schools with our teachers. So we'll see big. In other words, not every year is supposed to be, let's say, 3% or 5%. We may expect in kindergarten maybe some growth, but we expect higher growth next year simply because they're moving along.
Yes, sir.
See that we need to keep that in mind.
I guess once we finalize this, it's gonna be up to our directors to take this to the
Oh, yeah.
classrooms, the teachers.
So yes, sir. So the idea is this is our district. It starts here, and it will. It's also my evaluation, and that's my role is to work with our cabinet, with our directors, with our principals. These are our goals as a district, but not just our board, it's everybody's goal. So we'll be moving together, working hard together to achieve those goals, of course.
Okay, so that's goal number 1. I feel like that one's been kind of, that focus areas, we feel like, we've just had to do some tweaking on some of the numbers.
Right.
But that's goal 1. Okay, so go back to page number 2. Go back to page number 2. So, student outcome goal number 2 is the percentage of students who achieve meets or master's performance level on the STAR exam identified in the Texas State Accountability Report will increase from 37% to 60% by 2023. So that the next piece of data you all will look at is it this one, Superintendent?
Yes.
It says state accountability on the
Yes,
top.
domain 1? You
Yeah.
look at domain 1?
It says state accountability on the top, it says domain 1.
Yes. Yes. Oh, actually, it's this one right here? This one right here.
Oh, well, they're like partners, right?
Yeah, they go
This
together,
one,
yes.
the state accountability domain 1, you all, that is so you can see multiple school districts and where we land against other school districts in Region 1. The other one that says passing standards for 2018 STAR assessment, that is by grade level for our district. So those two are like hand in hand.
So if you can, and if I may, Ms. Rena,
Mhm.
so if you can look at the first one here, it says Donna. So we're looking, if you can remember, the goal number 2 says the percent of students who achieve meets and or master's performance level on the STAR exam identified in the Texas Accountability Report will increase from 2, right? So you can see where we stand as far as meets. So we have 30, I don't know if you can see 37% here from Donna, and then 13% masters, right? So and you can go down, you can see where Brownsville is, where, I don't know, Lafayette is, right? So we kind of shown you this as a comparison, right? And also where is their master's level, but also what we did, Mr. Rana also looked at their score. So we want to be definitely in A district, right? So what is that takes really to be in A district? So we can go down to Sharyland or Valley View. They are actually the only 2 who have an A when it comes to student achievement. And you can see what they are, 64% here, 33%, 58, and 24. Those are the only 2 schools in the surrounding area, right? They receive an A. Now keep in mind, and I know Mr. Rana did the presentation about our accountability system, we still, like some of these schools got a B, for example, Edinburgh got a B in domain 1 when it comes to student achievement, but they are an A district because domain 2, they scored an A. So you can become an A district with domain 1, I sound like Mr. Rana, or domain 2. So you can get it with A or domain 1 or 2. And in this case, Sharyland and Valley View got an A with domain 1, Edinburgh and McAllen got a B in domain 1, but got an A in domain 2, and they became an A district. So, but again, this is to give a perspective, and I think Ms. Rana is to where we stand and also where other surrounding school districts are.
Yeah, so in comparison, so 60%, we're gonna assume that other school districts are also gonna show improvement over time. We have to improve at a faster rate in order to not only catch up but exceed. So that's kind of, we had talked about 60, I think we landed on 60%. Oh, no, that's where we were, from the last board meeting, we kind of talked about, should it be 60 or should it be 75? That's what it was.
Yes. And you can see, for example, again, McAllen was at 51% when it comes to meets, and 24 in masters. They got a B here, but they became an A district, or they are A district. And same thing with with Ehrenberg, 48% meets, 20% masters. They got a B here, but domain 2, they got an A, because of that student progress. Their kids weren't performing like Sharyland, but they grew them so much that they get an A when it comes to student growth. Because it depends where your student, if the students come to you kind of low, and you working hard with them, you might not get them to all the way up here. But you made a huge progress, you made a huge impact, then now you are given credit, big credit for doing that.
So we would have to increase at a rate of about 5.4% per year in order to achieve the
Shadow
goal.
land, you beat the shadow.
Is that obtainable?
Well, that's something that, Mr.
5% is a significant improvement.
I mean,
Significant. I mean, when you look at the, Ms. Reina just showed you the passing standard, the headout, like the passing standard is 76%. It's not like a meets is a standard is high. It's not like a 70% to get the test, to get 70% to pass the test. It's a high 76 to level meets. And then the master is, that is that you wanna put the
Yeah.
passing standard?
For which one?
The
For,
passing standard?
That one, no.
I'm sorry.
can hear you. Record.
Another one.
And
And what I'm doing to be straight, you all, is I'm just writing goal 2, goal
Right.
1 on the certain data sets.
So this is seems very significant, but you set the goal, we'll make it happen.
Here we
My
go.
question is, and this is directed toward our directors over there, do you think that 5.4% growth per year is obtainable? Or are we like reaching for the moon?
I think, yeah, it's an admirable goal, like, and I think we can achieve it. You know, I've seen a lot of growth, like, in social studies. I know, like, personally, like, I've seen it happen. But, one of the things that's not taking into account when you're looking at the McAllen and the Sharing Lab school districts is you're not taking into account demographics. And, you know, whether we like it or not, demographics do play a role on how students perform on standardized tests. And so we definitely do not have the same population that a McAllen school district has. So it's like, I think it is possible, but it's just, there's gonna be a lot of work and a lot of teamwork involved in that, right?
And another thing that this chart brings up is that the jump between approaches level and needs level in many courses is like 20%, but then the jump between needs and masters is like 8 or 9 or 10%. So that jump is a little easier. The jump with the kids that are really struggling from approaches to needs, that's a lot bigger.
Yeah, because for right now, we're, a lot of the kids that are passing on the STAR that are hitting that approaches level, you know, they're hitting barely at that approaches level. So if the target was at 57%, we're getting like 57 to 60%. And so to get them to that needs level, they're going to have to get like a 76 on that test as opposed to 57.
I guess one of the points that I'm trying to make is, okay, if we're I guess asking you guys to rise to the challenge, you know, because it's going to be a challenge, that 5.4% growth every year. Now, if it's like, are we raising the bar to an obtainable level, and our teachers are, at the end of the day, it's the teachers in the trenches who have to work with these kids, and they have to, make that extra effort to work with these kids. I've noticed, I know that I saw growth over in the math department, when they raised that bar, and the kids came up to it now, and our teachers did too. Now, this is gonna be a challenge district-wide to both, all areas,
Well, we were neighbors, again, teaching at Donna High School. I've taught in Donna, I've taught in Sharyland. I taught at 3 of those campuses in Sharyland. It's easy in Sharyland. Teachers don't even have to work to get the job done. Our teachers here work their tails off. Our strategists work their tails off. If we can keep the consistency with our teachers, it makes a huge difference. Last year, I worked with 41 new to grade level, new to teaching, or new to math teachers in the STAR grade levels in math alone.
Right.
And when you have to start from scratch, again, it's great to have people that are excited and passionate, But when you train them for 3 or 4 years and then they leave for neighboring districts, it's really disheartening to have to start over again. So, is this doable? Absolutely, but it makes it really tough if we're always constantly working with new issues.
Mr. Donna, will you share your rationale on why the 60 versus the 75?
The 60, I think we got the number 60 is by year 2030, state of Texas won the 60% of the students. They should have either graduation, high school graduation, or the college graduation, or the industrial certification by 2030. So probably we grab the number 60 from there. And then also, if you look at the 90, 60, 30, if we want to be a district, 90, 60 plus 30, add them up is 180 divided by 3. So we can get the student achievement, the main one, 60%. So probably that's the number at that time we were looking at the 60%.
I may add something, and obviously this is what's called board goal, right? But we can suggest. Me personally, I'm a bigger believer in student growth. I believe because, like we just said, students come to us and they're different. Demographics play a big factor, whether we like it or not. And so, to me, if you get a student in your classroom, you better grow that student, whether they come to you up this level or this level. They're gonna show growth. So, to me, growth is always a better measurement of how effective is that teacher or the district or the school or the principal is to grow.
Right.
Where the kid, when you came to you first day in school, you were up here, and okay, where are they now? Over here. Because if they're not over here, then we didn't do a good job. You weren't an effective teacher, you're an effective principal, you're an effective superintendent, whatever it is, or director. So to me, I trust more the growth because, and the reason TEA went from domain 1 or 2 to rate school district, because they took that in consideration. Because they knew that if you go straight with student achievement, then school district like Edinburgh, McAllen, although they have different demographics, will be competing with Sharyland and other, school district who are, their students are upper middle class, families, right? And so they wanted to level the, you got it. And so that's why, sir, they want and said, you can get an A. If you have students achieving high, you got it. But also, if your kids come to you kind of somewhere in here, and you grow them really good, you didn't get to here, but we're gonna give you an A because you showed a lot of growth and a lot of dedication to your student, and you brought them from all the way down here, all the way up.
Would the state consider that growth of 5.4 to be like an outstanding amount of growth? There was.
Yeah, I think there's 5%.
Right, and our teachers really believe in our students.
Right,
And
right.
and I did an analysis for science, that I didn't bother with anybody else, right?
Right.
But it looked like if kids who had missed by 1 or 2 questions had passed, we would have been 5% higher in everything. And so our teachers are really, really working hard, and they believe in the students. But one of the hardest things with them is you can get them pumped up, but then something might change, or they have, something happens on campus and their morale, like teacher morale has a lot to do with student success. And so that's one thing that we are all considering all the time,
Struggling this year.
yeah, close to our hearts. And so changes that people don't know about, they really struggle with that. But the teachers really believe. We've been having awesome meetings with the teachers these last few weeks, getting them ready for the second 6 weeks. The teachers believe in it. And we're not talking about low-level stuff. We're getting teachers to think about higher order thinking. We're always talking about needs and master's levels, and then differentiating for those that need that support. But their feeling of support from their campus principals and from us makes a big difference. So we're like almost there, but.
I feel confident with how we're moving in the district. I mean, I don't see why we can't raise the bar these are goals.
Right.
Yeah.
If we set the goals low, some people are like, okay, I'm getting by.
Yeah.
If we set it higher, because these are our students. We have to, we talked about team effort and everybody working together. I know you and a lot of the staff have gone out in the community. And, you know, this is a positive thing. And yes, it's challenging, but I think, you know, we owe it to our students. Because this is our future.
Yeah,
And
and
the
the
valley is actually an anomaly too in the state. For the population we serve, we are higher performing than in a lot of the state, in a lot of areas in the state. Math and social studies both have outperformed the state in multiple levels in the last few years. So, yeah, and way beyond the region, right? So, and Region 1 is outperforming the state. So we know if you have high expectations and you meet the needs of the kids.
So the capability is there.
Yes.
It's just having the kids rise to that
support
expectation
there.
and the teachers and it's gonna be you know, it's like the football coach says, you know, it's just a team effort that we're all gonna have to step into. And, you know, and I hope that you guys see that as a board, you know, we're changing the direction that we're taking, you know. This is something that we're trying to support you guys as much as we can.
So Superintendent, so based on what you said around student growth, I mean, you still feel comfortable with this goal being focused on essentially student domain 1 though?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna make it happen because we're gonna work on increasing our student achievement. Our students,
Right. Yeah.
score meetings or masters, we're gonna do that no matter what.
Yep.
But sometimes what happens, and I think that's the case, for example, of Edinburgh and McAllen, they work so hard to get more of their kids passing, but they didn't get there. But because they grew their kids too much, they earned that A. And so it's always like you have a second option. But we're not aiming for, when you sit down with the students and with our teachers and look at data, they don't look, okay, how much can I grow, Dr. Mary, how much I grow? You're looking at, make sure that Dr. Mary passes or meets, right, when it comes to her math, test, or science. So automatically she's gonna grow. And so the same mentality will produce both results.
So some of the language around meets is there is a correlation between, I don't know, correlation is the right word, but they're saying there's a connection between that performance level and meeting grade level, like saying you're on grade level, right?
Yeah.
Is everybody clear on that? So the way I always tend to lean towards more ambitious, because even if we get to 60%, essentially in my mind, we're still failing 40% because they're not even on grade level. So that's the flip side of like, and I'm just saying I lean towards more of an aggressive, ambitious side because, you know, we want our kids leaving and on grade level. Like, because that we know that's what it's going to take to be successful in college and beyond. So I think at the minimum, it's 60. At the minimum. But again, this is like, what other thoughts, ideas, like leanings do you all have around like 60 versus 75 versus something maybe in between?
Well, what I see is that 60 right now is a realistic, you always shoot for that realistic goal and not, I mean, okay, once we get there, okay, then let's raise the bar.
Right.
You know, but, I mean, for now, you know, maybe in 2 years from now, we can revisit this and instead of saying, you know, well, you know what, we're on track for 60, let's raise it to 70, you know, I mean, because it's like, yeah, it's like this is a working living document. You know,
Well,
it's
they
subject to
only
change.
revised once every 24 months.
Every
So what we put, yeah, 2
Every 2
years from now,
years.
we could.
Go
Yeah.
back and revisit it, and let's say that we, instead of that 5.4% growth, you know, we've actually obtained 15%. Okay, now we adjust our figures
So going back, to summarize, going back to G2, that's what we're still talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So we're gonna leave it as is? To
I think
60?
the 60%, if you will, that's what we're discussing right
But
now.
we're not gonna take a vote on that, right?
No,
No,
no, but I
no.
just wanna
So
clarify.
we gotta get our records straight here.
Yeah, that's why
Okay, that's
this is
good.
open for discussion.
Okay, thanks.
All right, moving on, moving on to goal number
Sure.
3, G3.
How about 64?
Okay, goal number 3 was G3. And that's the one that talks about the percentage of graduates for demonstrating college career military readiness will increase from 2 by 2023. And so also we have some data here to present to you, and it's in your package. And it looks here, the last one, really what you need to focus on is the last column. It says CCMR, the percentage, and you can see where we stand.
Okay, hold on, sorry,
No, no
Superintendent.
problem.
Does it? Oh, okay.
It's kind of yellow on the top, it says.
Okay, okay. Got
So
it.
you can see that we are 43% when it comes to CCMR, which is low. We earn a C. Our grade was a C on that one. But also what we did for you is we listed all the districts down here and their student achievement letter grade. And also you can look at the last column again and see where they stand as far as that percentage. So for comparison, as you think about the goal for G3 or how you define G3 is.
So right now, in comparison to other school districts, this is, when we look at this is like kind of the furthest we're behind in comparison to other school districts.
Yes. And I think, I don't know if I said this, the sad thing about this is, you know how we are in the middle of a school year right now, the 2018-2019 school year? Well, when it comes to domain 3, is actually they use the 2018 seniors results, right? To come up with the end of this year accountability. So we are, because it's always 1 year in the rear.
Behind.
And so anything we do this year, guess what? It's too late for this year accountability when it comes to domain 3 because those seniors already graduated. So anything we're doing when it comes to domain 3 is actually would be for the 2019-2020 school year. But nevertheless, we were able to actually take a team. I went to Annenberg, our 2 high school principals, counselors, APs, a group of folks that went to Annenberg, and we visited them because, as you see, they're doing a great job over there to get an A. And so we're trying to learn from them, and we came back. And our high school started calling our 2018 seniors, trying to see what we can do, because GEA allow us to adjust some of those coding until the end of this year. So they're trying to get as many of those seniors back if they can. But it's gonna, by now they're graduated, some of them are probably gone, right? Moved on. But definitely.
But the ones that we have to address are the ones that did not graduate, right?
No, these are the senior they're 2018 seniors. These are the kids who graduated. The 2018, they're done. But maybe they were not, they didn't take the SAT test, they didn't take the SAT test. Yeah, there were several things that they needed to do, and maybe meet at least one of them. They needed to be, were they in dual credit classes, right, where they're taking AP courses. You know, they took the SAT test and scored 3, 4, 5, right? Things like that. But also, not only they have to do it, but they have to go back to the system and code them, right? Did they enlist in the military? Those kind of things. We get points for those things.
So it might even be better than with the 43.
So that's why we're trying to see if we can catch them and try to do some adjustment if they did some of that stuff, and some of them were actually calling in to take the test this week. See if some of them will actually pass. They already graduated, but we're trying to, catch them, I guess. But as I said, it's because it's 1 year in their career. It's always 1 year behind. So, but as far as this group, the 2018-2019 kids, seniors of 2019, yes, we
Is
work
that being
with them.
addressed by the high schools?
The high schools.
Okay, now, this is not 3D or?
Well, 3D is, they have students there too, so the high schools include and 3D, yes. All, like the 2 comprehensive high school plus 3D. Yes.
The other piece of data that they pulled together for us is the college and career and military readiness
Yeah.
data table. I see this one.
Right.
This is really great because it actually, essentially, here are the different components that would actually take to change the college or the career or the military readiness. This is like the data for the multiple pieces that go into that. And then again, you can see where we are in comparison to other school districts.
The ones who have that, yeah. So the ones are kind of green are the ones who actually did higher than everybody else. So Hidalgo did associate degree. They have 25% of their kids are actually earning, 1/4 of their students earn associate degree. That's what we want to be, or higher. You know, things like that. So you earn points if you're doing any of these things.
The highest
At least
point,
one. Go ahead.
the highest point you can earn in one, like a 1 point per graduate,
Yeah.
1 or 1/2. So like say,
I can give an example if you don't mind, sir. So I'm a student maybe who took an AP course, scored 4 or 5 in one course. So I can earn a point there, right?
Right.
But also I graduated with an associate. I don't get 2 points. I only get 1. Right? So that's pretty much it. So, but you want our students, the goal is for our students to be pushed to college, right? Make sure they're taking a college, like an AP course or dual credit courses, or going to college, right? Or an associate degree maybe, but also maybe a certificate. And graduate from high school, I'm working with that certificate. They can go and be like a pharmacy technician or something like that. You know, things like that. So all of the military also get points for that as well.
Yep. So if you all go to page 4 in the AD local, no, actually page 5, to where there are the goal progress measures. So you see the annual targets there and the goal progress measures, those are to be determined. But they will be based on, like, one will be college,
career.
another one will be career, and another will be military readiness. And the superintendent, Mr. Dano will propose what those things will be, right?
Yeah.
So this data is gonna help inform those goal progress measures. We just you don't see any in there yet.
So it's a lot of data, but this would help us, make decisions. But also, really, this data is got in our work. Our directors, our principals, our teachers. This is the kind of stuff we should be focusing on, right?
Okay, so are we good with that one? Any other questions, thoughts? Okay, so next is the
Constraint.
board constraints for the superintendent. So superintendent constraints. First one is the superintendent shall not allow any campus to have a principal with fewer than 2 years of demonstrated successful experience at a campus district leadership role. This long piece is the data on that. And currently, right now, we don't have any principals that don't have less than 2 years.
I'm gonna confirm that if you allow me.
Okay.
I wanna make sure I wanna make sure I give you accurate information,
Okay.
so I'll confirm that
Okay.
for next time. Or if it prior, I can send you an email.
So one of the things that we were discussing was, the superintendent with his experience and, knowledge recommends this actually be 3 years. With no fewer than 3 years of demonstrated successful experience as a campus district leadership role. What we're determining as a campus district leadership role are these how many categories are there?
It's curriculum specialist, dean, assistant principals are pretty much the same role. They're administrators.
So you would say what you're categorizing as campus district leadership role is curriculum specialist, dean, counselor, or assistant principal,
Well,
those 4 roles.
I don't know about counselor. That's something
No,
usually
it's
it's
not.
not the same role.
Not the same role.
That assistant principal, I would recommend assistant principal, CS
Dean.
here, because not every school district have that, and also dean.
Not teacher strategist or library.
No, it's a different, the
Okay.
strategist is more like a coach.
So those are the 3 roles that we're determining, that are considered campus district leadership roles.
APCS and the D.
Yes.
Yes. So we look at those and combine them, like add them all, and make sure they have at least, if you approve it, at least 3 years in any of those, or maybe a combination of those 3.
You had another column there, central office, administration.
Yes, we looked at that because some folks maybe came here, worked here, and then they decided to go back and be a principal, maybe so, I'm not saying that's not an important role, I'm just simply saying it's different. If you were a teacher, came to central office, and then you go back and be a principal, it's not the same thing as you were an assistant principal, dean, or curriculum specialist. I'm just saying it's different. It's not the same thing. It's an administrative role, but you did not handle maybe school discipline. You didn't handle necessarily angry parents. You were in observing teachers and giving them feedback and maybe documenting or appraising. So the experience that you get in central office, I'm not saying again it's a good experience, but it's different than what an assistant principal, a dean, or a curriculum specialist would be exposed to.
Okay, so we're gonna remove that one from there?
Yeah, this is just for us to track, but yes, we're gonna do, as we said,
Those three?
yes.
Okay, so that's the data for them. Questions?
No, doesn't have to.
Changing from 2 to 3 years, right?
Three.
Yeah. That's what we'll bring back as a proposal.
Yes.
Second, Superintendent Straight shall not approve changes in academic programs arbitrarily or without an annual evaluation and supporting data of program effectiveness. This just says, like, before he changes any programs, we need to have like a thorough, there needs to be an evaluation with data, so that we're not changing programs, you know, just because something else new. Or you can see this in the comments. These comments are from Dr. McMahon, just FYI if you're wondering where the comments came from. Or unless a program is removed by the commissioner. Like, that's the other reason for like removal. So that's the second one. The goal, if you go to, again, page 5, you'll see the constraint progress measure. Those annual targets, they're kind of like 0 to 0, because it shouldn't happen. So those aren't necessarily like a percentage. Right, wouldn't you agree, Superintendent?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's a constraint, it shouldn't happen. Third, superintendent constraint, the superintendent should not allow excessive staffing ratios throughout the district. This one is one that needs some more work. This came up in our workshop. Why this one's a little bit more challenging is because we don't currently, there isn't necessarily benchmarks for like a professional percentage, right? That we need to be at or should be at.
Yeah, so I just need some more guidance as how we want to do that excessive. I was thinking, we can try to get like staffing guidelines from other school district and compare ours to them. Is that I don't know what was the thinking, I guess. I just need some clarification on what is the thinking behind that particular one. So we can develop the data, gather the data, develop it and bring it back to you.
Mm-hmm. Do you all remember talking about this one at the workshop?
Yeah, I think this was one that we were discussing. And this is something that, we've addressed, that, there are certain staffing issues where we have an overabundance of whatever area, whether it's teaching, clerks, whether it's, certain, even here at the central office, and there is no identification mechanism to identify, and we've asked to find out, how do the other campuses, how do the other districts compare to what we have in hand, and that's something that, has always been addressed or been an issue brought up, but never addressed.
Okay, I know we and again, I know that's something maybe Dr. Ramirez can clarify a little bit more. The staffing guidelines I know we had something for our campuses, and I know we decided to go with attrition, right, for some of these positions. But we can maybe gather some more data and see, like, from one other school district, I can reach out to school districts with similar populations, similar demographics, and we can maybe do some work there. But I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Dr. Williams.
And that's what we're doing. We did establish the staffing guides for the elementaries. We did it for the secondary, and we applied it. And we went looking for those people that were supposed to be identified as being excess. We have squeezed the turnip dry. We moved quite a bit of folks, and some of those can tell you they weren't happy, but we moved paraprofessionals. I'm talking about TAs, what you call TAs here, instructional aides. We're also moving some TAs from different, some clerks now. We're hitting that area. But we've got to be careful when you take a clerk that's at a certain level and you're saying, I want to move you just because you're excess here, and we're going to put you, or we have identified you as excess and better utilized in another place. They might require a higher salary because that position might be at a different pay grade. So yes, we are doing that. We have the records that we have done that. And the comparisons that we can make is by asking other districts to provide to us what they use and then go by that. But comparable ones is the ones that I came from, and we use those kind of staffings. I continue to ask. I'm a member of TASPA board, and I keep asking fellow board members, can you share central office staffing? And none throughout the state of Texas have a staffing guide for central office. They don't. And from El Paso to Dallas to Houston, Pearland, San Antonio, all those folks that I continue, and I can share emails when I keep asking them, and they say, we don't use them. That depends on the district itself, what they feel they need at those in the central office areas to actually support the campuses that you have throughout the district. And what type of support do you need? Is it going to be strategists? Is it going to be coaches? Is it going to be coordinators? Those things, and they also are doing it based on their perceived needs, or to them, perception is reality, their reality needs. And so I believe that's what's been used here before, based on that. And some people might not agree, but we continue to work with it. And our superintendent and the rest of the cabinet, we look at it all the time. You know, we bicker against each other, and where can we cut more? And but we are looking at it seriously. But it's going to have to be based on what kind of folks do we need at the central office that are going to support those principals at the campuses with strategies and where we want to go. And so we need those experts. And you might say reduce them, but again, it's based on those needs as we see them. And I continue to work on it diligently, and we'll continue to try to squeeze it a little bit tighter. I can promise you that.
One of the things that I'd like to maybe comment on that, Dr. Ramirez, would be that, I mean, if I am the director of a department and you ask me, do you have enough employees or do you have excessive employees? Well, I'm never gonna say I have too many and I'm willing to let go of three Turks or 3 people in my department, because I'm hitting you in the heart. You know? So it's like maybe, I mean, we need
Well,
to have.
this goal is really based,
Yeah.
it's not based on central office. This goal is based on 2 categories, paraprofessional staff and professional staff. Now, I would imagine some central office staff would fall in the
Right.
category of professional staff. But I'm wondering about this in relationship to where we need to be, like, budget-wise.
Yes.
And I feel like Ms. Cancino talked about this when she talked about kind of where we need to be as far as like percent of our budget
Right.
spent on staffing,
Yes.
and what would be more comfortable, or more like
Right.
where we need to be in relationship to like our budget and
Right.
the how much money we're spending on staffing.
Correct, and I know we were at 85% at some point, and I think last time when we passed the budget, it was, I think, 81, 82%? 82%, and so we are decreasing, and we're keeping that in mind. We're doing attrition as much as possible. There are instances where sometimes the needs, our students' needs. Like for example, if it's required, you know, one of our special ed students, and we don't have that particular, we need a TA, because that's what our committee decided. So in some cases, we'll have to do that. But we're really like looking really carefully, and what we can do is, and I told Dr. Ramirez, is to keep a tally of every time we close a position or we don't fill that position, because that information is important to all of us. As we work to our budget, we pass a negative budget, and as I said, our goal this year, not to next school year not to pass a negative, but as a balanced budget, and hopefully we can have enough saving to hopefully give, administration will be proposing maybe at some point, maybe even an increase in pay, because our staff, and our teachers and everybody deserve that, didn't get one in the past, 2 or 3 years? So we are working very diligently to have some savings, some cuts, so we can maybe produce that money for them.
That makes me think something, like, what if, given what we're trying to do on the budget side, if we eliminated like CPM to like a separate ones and just had one, well, the percentage of staffing will decrease from X% to X% by 2021.
I think that's
to have
more,
more of an overall goal of like,
right.
we may not get into the nitty-gritty of paraprofessional, professional, but to say we do know that we should be somewhere around here. Do you all feel like that would be fair?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah?
And we need to come up with a percentage, based on what our total budget is.
Yeah,
What percentage of that is it that we can afford?
okay,
If you can't
Yeah.
afford to have X number of people,
Right.
then we need to start figuring a way to cutting back.
okay.
Do you all feel like,
And it's closing positions, that's the way it's gotta be.
Yeah, Tricia, yeah.
do you all
Because I
feel
know
like,
we're still at a high percentage. So
Okay.
we need to get down to a certain percentage, and we need to start closing some of these positions as they leave.
Yes, sir.
so we could, one, get the data on currently the percentage of our budget spent on staffing. And then two, you all could propose what that might be in a healthier ratio, or
Yes.
does that feel,
Yeah, so recommending, like, most districts have what, like 75% or?
Yeah, 75 is a good number, yeah,
yes.
75 is a good number.
yeah, so to me, that would be like, what's our baseline now, and maybe
And
the
our
goal
goal
is
is to be-
75% by 2021 or something.
Yeah, in 2 years.
Yeah, I like that, that's
Okay.
actually very good.
Okay, so that's what I would do. I'm thinking about like the elimination of the two separate and just make that one. Okay, all right. Good work, you all. Last portion here, the board constraints. First, the first one here, board will not allow the cost of staff time spent on governance to increase from X to X. So this one specifically, some people in the survey had some questions. It's a little bit more difficult to understand. And I went back to Dr. McMahon and asked her about why the staff time in relationship to cost. And she just said it's part of the framework from the Lone Star governance to make it in relationship to cost. Essentially, we haven't had a system for gathering the information of how much time people are spending preparing for board meetings. And essentially with this one, we're just trying to say, we're not gonna have people spend more time preparing for board meetings, because we want them to be spending their time, like, the more they can directly in the work with each other and with the students. So what we're trying to get here is some kind of baseline, and essentially there's two parts to that. Like one, how many hours, like of all the folks who contributed to regular board meeting in May, how many hours did they spend? And then it would have to go to the HR department for then the HR department to say, well, this person at X salary spent 10 of their hours that actually cost the district X amount of dollars. And then you add up the 15 people or that how many number of hours. Do you see there's like steps to it?
Yes.
Which is why this is more
And
complicated.
that's the actual preparation time, right?
Yes, like, and then during, so
Last
like,
week.
it's
Yes.
staff time to be sitting here and so we wanna have a baseline for this one. And we're saying like, we should not increase that by any means.
But we don't have the, I'm sorry, you said?
No.
We don't have the baseline, and that's what Ms. Rana, so we thought about, this is just an idea, thought about sending a survey, and say, let's say back in May or back in April, or back in last board meeting, 2 board meetings, how much time did you spend to prepare for these items, right? And maybe gather some data that way. I mean, that's the only, because we didn't have anything else.
It's gonna have to be an estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now, I know that Terry is the one that puts all this stuff together, but in the background, you've got Miss Argel over there, you've got Miss Cancino doing her stuff, you got Dr. Ramirez doing his stuff, you got Dr. Rana doing his stuff, getting all this stuff together. Now, that's just putting this stuff together, but they, you know, I'm sure you got your clerks, you tell, hey, I need for you to get this and this and this. So it's a pretty complicated, formula. And I think that maybe Mr. Watson could do it since he's a math person.
Come up with a formula.
And he's already doing all of my math, sir.
I don't wanna take any credit for it, but I do know there's a lot of staff members that are working on this, and it's not between 8 and 5. It's at
Yeah.
10 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, at home, working on
Right.
stuff to get stuff right.
Exactly right.
Yep.
But is that part of the regular task to, I mean, we're addressing student outcomes? I mean, that's what we're
It's all about
focusing on? So it's all, it's,
What Mr. Watson is saying, during the day, we are spending focusing on more on students, like
Student
students.
success.
So this type of thing we need to prepare after hours.
After,
It's called above and beyond.
Your own time.
Above and beyond.
but
So-
it's been productive, because before we never had this kind of information.
So we just wanna make sure we're not like,
Increasing.
staff aren't spending more time. So we're gonna try to get a baseline.
And I don't know if you noticed, but we're trying to have I mean, I would love to have you here, I would love you, but have one meeting a month, one board meeting a month. Sometimes we may have a special board meeting, but we don't wanna have 3 and 4 a month, that's, you work, you have other duty, you wanna make sure you're, but also, that's gonna require a lot of preparation from our part, because we've been asking, all our department to produce whatever items that stick to it, 10 days, at minimum of 10 days prior to the board, like 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks prior to the board meeting, and make sure we have everything we need, so we can share them with you within 10 days, right? And then give an opportunity to read them, if you have a question, to communicate those questions. So we're trying to streamline things and have, straight to the point, make sure we take care of it, and obviously spend most of our time in student outcomes.
I think that, what you just hit the nail on the head right now when you said is 10 days before the actual board meeting, and cut it off, and whatever doesn't make it, doesn't make it. And if you have a, item that needs to go on there that's, unless it's something that came in from TA that day before, or, I can understand that, but,
We don't wanna add, we wanna,
But we still can't put it on the agenda.
no. It comes in before the day before the agenda comes out.
So the last two constraints here, the second one, pretty straightforward, will not modify a local. Pretty much, we're saying like, when we approve this thing in October, like, we're not gonna come back and change it for another 24 months.
Correct.
And then the third board constraint, the board will not violate board policy. Dr. McMahon suggested we get rid of this one because it doesn't really, what you put here, it doesn't require a change in adult behavior. It doesn't challenge the board or require change in adult behavior. And she also talked about what this means to like track this, violation or not. So she suggested we stick with these two and delete the third one. Yep. And then the last two things here, just, again, making sure you all read all the way through this, like board self-evaluation. We're gonna do a formative self-evaluation quarterly and 45 days prior to conducting the annual superintendent evaluation. So we're not gonna just evaluate him, but we're gonna evaluate ourselves and how effective we are as a board. And then the superintendent evaluation, I think is just really important, accomplishment of at least 80% of either the student outcome goals or adopted progress measures, annual targets, shall be the automatic indicator of success. Below that threshold, the board's judgment shall be an indicator of success. To essentially,
Were you reading?
oh, and the very third page in.
only thing I would say to that, and not because it's my evaluation, I'm a math person like Mr. Watson, 80% means 100%, because there are 3 goals. You meet 2 goals is what, Mr. Watson?
I'm sorry?
2 goals is 66%.
Yes.
So for me to get 80%, I have to meet all three. 66.66.
And then the goal progress measures, we have
So we gotta hit all
three,
of them, right? Math people are laughing at it.
but we have three.
There are
It's
3
in
goals.
Or the goal progress measures. So,
But those are under each one of those goals.
yeah, so if we got 3, 6, 9 goal progress measures, you'd have to reach how many of those to get
6 out of,
80%?
out of 6, 80% would be what, 5?
No, if you, there's 9 goal progress
Okay.
measures.
7, I think that would be about 8.
Oh, and constraint measures. Okay, so that would be 9 plus 1, 2, 3 constraints. So it'd be 9, 10, 11, 12. So how many, you'd have to meet how many out of 12 to get 80%?
9 out of 12 would be 75%.
9 out of 12.
Yeah, no.
So you need 10.
9 is 75, so you need to have 10
Yeah.
out of 12.
Okay, so
That's
what
okay.
what do you think? Is
No,
that,
that's good, 10 out of 12 is good.
okay, so
I'm up for the test.
so let's make this, what, 9 out of 12, or I mean, 75%?
10. I would say 9 out of 12.
9 out of 12.
Which is 75%, right?
That's what you promise.
So we'll change that to 75%? Is that what I'm
80% is
hearing?
good.
We can't do that now, can we? We're just gonna bring it up to the next.
80% is good.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna propose,
Yeah.
that's what we'll propose.
Nice. You're gonna be meets expectations.
Okay. All right, you all, this is good work, rigorous work, and, the last thing I'll say is, we're gonna get the board, will we still get that board packet on the Friday before the Tuesday?
The board packet?
The
You're
board
talking-
packet, the Friday before?
green.
Okay, cause what
Right,
I,
in-
well, I think what would be ideal, you all, is for you all to get it a little bit sooner than like the Friday before the Tuesday. So that you have time to read through it and then, ask the superintendent any questions you have.
we sent it more than Friday before. We sent it, but it was electronically sent.
Okay,
Oh, this last time you did, but I mean, normally we've been getting it
Yeah.
on Friday.
yeah.
But electronically you did about, I think, Wednesday.
Yeah. So
Just
we're-
because I want us to really feel ready to, approve this on that Tuesday. I wanna give whatever leeway time for you all to read the final, not the final version, but the proposed version. And
We'll do
have
it.
any questions.
We'll send it to you early.
Okay,
Yeah.
Earlier than
We're trying to change it.
Any other questions on superintendent report? Item number 2?
No.
All right. That was a discussion only.
An hour.
Now we're at the consent agenda.
I pulled number 3. Do we do that after?
Yeah, number 3 was pulled out of there. Under academic services. On the consent agenda, I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Avila,
Second.
second by Ms. Reyna, all in favor?
In favor.
Favor?
There.
All right, the monitoring calendar, this is the very last page in your packet. You can see like where this is going, goal 1, 2, and 3, and which dates over the course of the year. What we're gonna look at, and again, bring this back at the same time we look at AE local, is if there's particular goal progress measures we're looking at certain times of the year. Right now, you can see the overall goals, but we may need to put in here which goal progress measures. That's only kind of FYI on that one, how it might be updated.
Yeah, we work.
Okay.
That's your recommendation?
No, this is done.
Yeah, we won't vote on it. We'll bring it, we're gonna bring it back.
Okay.
Okay, that was for discussion only as well. On executive session, time is 7:43, as authorized by Texas Government Code sections 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, and .084. Time is 7:43. We're going into executive session. It's 8:57 and we're back from executive session into open session to take action on matters. Letter A, discussion and possible action to approve the superintendent's recommendation of personnel. Approval of recommendation of professionals, paraprofessionals, and auxiliary personnel.
I have a recommendation for you.
Okay,
I move we approve.
okay, there's a motion to approve.
Second.
As discussed.
As
Yes,
discussed.
as discussed, because there were some that were,
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, as discussed, right? Okay. I'll vote in favor.
okay, can we do that again?
Oh, my motion needs to be as discussed in executive session.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Vena,
Second.
second by Dr. Mary, all in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Favor? Motion passes. Letter B, discussion and possible action to approve pending or contemplated litigation, settlement matters, and/or matters where the professional duty on the state board requires private consultation with the school attorney. Discussion and possible action regarding litigation on case of Carlo Cordova versus Donna ISD.
There's no action.
No action? Need a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion
Second.
by Mr. Avila, second by Dr. Mary, all in favor?
Favor.
Favor?
In favor.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned